I saved for 2 years to surprise my parents with a dream cruise. When I handed them the tickets, my mom laughed and said, "We were hoping for something useful, like a down payment for your brother's house." My dad nodded in agreement. That night, I canceled everything. A month later, they called me from a motel, furious, but I was already across the world living my best life. I grew up in Dayton, Ohio. It wasn't glamorous, but it was home. My parents worked hard, my mom at the post office, my dad fixing HVAC systems. We didn't have much, but they always made it clear they were doing it all, for the family. That phrase stuck with me my whole life, for the family. I believed in it. I lived by it. I moved out at 19, started working full-time at a logistics company while taking online classes at night. No parties. No spring breaks. Just saving. Always saving. 2 years ago, I made a decision. My parents never had a real vacation. I'm not talking about a trip to Lake Erie or driving down to my aunt's house in Kentucky. I mean something real. Something like they always talked about. A cruise. They used to point at commercials and say, "One day, when we retire." But life was always hard. My dad's knee started giving out. My mom developed carpal tunnel. I realized retirement wasn't going to look like what they pictured. So I decided I'd make that, one day, happen now. I spent 2 full years putting money away. I stopped going out. I packed lunches. I sold my old guitar and furniture from my college apartment. I worked overtime every holiday and skipped every vacation. I even picked up weekend shifts at a local coffee shop, just to add more to the cruise fund. By late spring, I had enough. A 10-day Caribbean cruise. Balcony suite. Flights included. I even arranged for one of my dad's old coworkers to cover a few of his side jobs so he wouldn't lose money by taking time off. Everything was handled. I printed the confirmation out and wrapped it inside a box, thinking it would be this big moment. A family dinner, a happy surprise. I imagined my mom crying. My dad saying something like, "You didn't have to do all this." Hugs, photos, memories. That wasn't what happened. We were sitting around the table at my parents' house on a Sunday afternoon. I handed my mom the box, smiling. She opened it, pulled out the papers, looked confused. Then she laughed. At first, I thought maybe she was just shocked. But she handed the tickets to my dad and said, "We were hoping for something useful. Like a down payment for Josh's house." She didn't even say thank you. My dad read the papers, gave this small nod like he agreed. "Yeah," he said, "something to help the family." I sat there silent. I could feel my face burning. My hands started to sweat. I kept thinking, this has to be a misunderstanding. But it wasn't. "Josh is really trying now," my mom added. "He just needs a little help to get started. Let me tell you about Josh. He's 3 years younger than me. Dropped out of community college after 1 semester. Had 2 DUIs before 24. Never held a steady job longer than a year. Every time he got fired, it was someone else's fault. My parents always made excuses for him. He's still figuring things out. He just needs direction. He has a good heart." And now they wanted me to hand over my savings money I earned working double shifts to give him a fresh start. I left early that night. Told them I was tired. I cried in the car. I cried harder when I got home. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I canceled the cruise. Lost a chunk on the deposit, but I didn't care anymore. Then I booked something else. For me. 3 weeks later, I was on a plane to Thailand. One-way ticket. I had no plan, just my passport, my savings, and a deep, gut-level need to stop giving everything to people who only saw me as a tool. A month after I left, I finally turned my phone on for a day. I had 15 missed calls from my mom. A voicemail from my dad. Dozens of texts. Turns out, they tried to go to Florida on their own. Booked a cheap resort. Their car broke down near Brunswick, Georgia. They ended up stuck in a roadside motel with no AC and a roach problem. My mom's message was almost comical in its bitterness. You abandoned us. We were counting on that trip. Your father is sick over this. And Josh is still struggling because you refused to help your own family. I didn't respond. Instead, I posted a photo from a boat tour I took outside Krabi. Me, sunglasses on, clear blue ocean behind me. Caption, helping the family, in my own way. They haven't messaged since. But I've got more story to tell. Thailand was just the beginning. I didn't plan it that way. I figured I'd stay a couple of weeks, maybe a month, then head back home. But something in me broke that night at the dinner table, and I didn't know how deep it went until I got away from everything. I met travelers who were living out of backpacks, working online, just living. No guilt. No family chains. No obligations to people who only knew how to take. I wanted that. I needed it. So I sold what little I had left back home, my car, some furniture and storage, and I started freelancing online. That's how I ended up spending the next 6 months hopping across Southeast Asia, Cambodia, Vietnam, Bali. I was finally living. Every photo I posted was a reminder to my parents, I am not your backup plan. Then the messages started again. Not from my parents, from Josh. At first, it was small stuff. Hey man, hope you're doing good. Then, I know mom and dad were kinda harsh. They didn't mean it like that. Then came the real reason he reached out, I need a favor. Of course. He wanted help with a down payment. Said the market was hot and if he missed out now, he might never get in. He even sent me a link to some realtor's website. I didn't respond. A week later, my mom messaged me. Just one sentence. You're tearing this family apart. I laughed out loud when I read it. I was on a beach in Lombok, and some local guy selling pineapples looked at me funny. Tearing the family apart? What about when they dismissed 2 years of my hard work like it was garbage? What about when they told me helping Josh was more important than giving them something they'd dreamed about their whole lives? But I didn't answer her either. That silence must have eaten at them, because the next time I heard from anyone, it wasn't a message, it was a knock. I had just checked into a small guest house in northern Thailand, up near Chiang Rai. It was quiet, peaceful. I was reading in a hammock when the front desk woman came up and said there were visitors asking for me. Visitors? I walked to the front porch and there they were. My parents. Standing in the middle of the dirt driveway, sweating, red-faced, exhausted. My dad looked like he was about to collapse. My mom was clutching her purse like it held her entire life. You have to come home, she said. Josh is in trouble. My stomach dropped. Apparently, Josh had been arrested. Again. This time for credit card fraud. Thousands of dollars. A scheme with a friend who bailed on him and left everything in Josh's name. He was facing real time now. And you think I can fix it? I asked. My dad finally spoke. You're the only one with any money left. He needs a lawyer. I stared at them for a long time. I could have said yes. I could have offered to help. But instead, I said, you flew halfway around the world to ask me to fix Josh's mess again? My mom didn't answer. She just looked down at her feet. That's when I knew this wasn't about love. It wasn't about family. It was about utility. I was useful until I wasn't. And now they were desperate. I'll pay for one night here, I said, turning to the front desk lady. And then they're on their own. My mom started crying. My dad called me selfish. I didn't say anything else. I walked back to my room, locked the door, and didn't come out. That night, I slept better than I had in months. But this story's not over. Because when I checked my bank account the next morning, Something was wrong. Very wrong. The next morning, I opened my banking app just like I did every few days. At first, I thought it was a glitch. The balance was way off, about $8,000 less than it should have been. I went cold. I clicked into the transactions. My heart started racing. There it was. A wire transfer. Not made by me. Not from Thailand. From Dayton. Somehow, someone had gotten access to my U.S. bank account. I froze. I didn't have any shared accounts. I never gave out my login info. I had two-factor authentication on everything. But as I scanned the activity, I saw something that made my blood boil. The withdrawal was labeled under an old linked device named Mom's IPAD. Years ago, back when I was still at home and helping my mom with bills, I'd helped her set up online banking and logged into my account once to send myself some rent money she owed me. I must have saved the login on her iPad by accident. I forgot. She didn't. I immediately called the bank and filed a fraud report. They froze the account. Said they'd investigate. But I knew. My own mother stole from me. I didn't even know how to react at first. I paced around my tiny guesthouse room for an hour. I thought about calling them, screaming into the phone. Thought about flying home just to show up at their door and throw their lie in their faces. But I didn't do any of that. Instead, I sent a single message. To the family group chat I hadn't used in almost a year. Hope the lawyer was worth it. Because that was the last dollar you'll ever steal from me. Josh responded almost immediately. Dude, what are you talking about? Then my mom, we were desperate. You wouldn't answer. He's your brother. I turned off my phone. But I wasn't done. I contacted a lawyer in Ohio. Told him everything. He walked me through filing a police report and a civil claim. It felt like betrayal, but also, it felt like I was finally cutting the last thread they'd been pulling on since I was old enough to work. The bank confirmed it days later, the IP address, the device name, the location. It was her. It was my mom. They tried to say it was a misunderstanding, that she meant to borrow it and pay it back. But I knew the truth. I knew they wouldn't have paid me back a dime. My lawyer pushed forward. Charges were filed. I didn't drop them. That's when things got real ugly. Word got out in town. Family, friends. Old neighbors. People started calling me, texting me, saying I was ruining my parents. That I should have just let it go. I stopped responding. But deep down, I was shaking. Not from fear. From grief. Because the people who raised me, the ones who preached loyalty, family, sacrifice, would rather steal from me and protect my screw-up brother than own up to what they did. But the story still wasn't over. Because one night, months later, I got a call I didn't expect. From Josh. I let the phone ring twice before I answered. Why are you calling me? I said flatly. Josh's voice was low. Not angry. Not yelling. Just tired. I just wanted to talk, he said. I'm not calling to ask for anything. That was a first. There was a long pause. I didn't say anything, and he didn't hang up. I got sentenced, he finally said. 4 years. I let that sink in. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel sorry for him either. Just empty. I know you hate me, he said. I messed everything up. I just wanted to say. I didn't know Mom was gonna steal from you. I never asked her to. Doesn't matter, I said. She did it for you. He was quiet again. Then he said something that actually shook me. She sold her car. Took out a loan to try and pay it back. I sat down. She said she thought it'd fix things. She said you'd understand. I almost laughed. Understand? Like I hadn't already sacrificed half my 20s trying to be the good one. Then Josh dropped a bomb I never saw coming. She's sick. It's cancer. She didn't want you to know. I didn't speak. Not for a long time. I'd blocked them all out so hard, I hadn't even checked. I didn't even care to. And part of me still didn't know if I should. I just thought you should hear it from me, he said. I'll probably be locked up when she goes. But I guess that's what I earned. He hung up. I stared at the phone for a long time. I wanted to throw it. I wanted to cry. But I didn't do either. Instead, I booked a ticket home. It was winter in Ohio when I landed. Cold hit me like a truck. Everything felt smaller, darker, like my whole town had shrunk. I didn't tell anyone I was coming. I just took a cab straight to the hospital. She looked thin. Older. Tired in a way that couldn't be faked. She was half asleep when I walked in. When she opened her eyes and saw me, she started crying immediately. Her face crumpled in a way I hadn't seen since Grandma's funeral. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know, I said. I sat there for hours. We didn't talk much. She apologized again. Told me she was proud of me. That she was wrong. That she should have stood up for me. That she was scared I'd leave and never come back. I almost did, I said. She nodded. I wouldn't have blamed you. She died 3 weeks later. I didn't speak at the funeral. I watched from the back. People whispered, but I didn't care. Josh was already in prison. Dad sat with his head down the whole time. After the service, I walked up to him outside the church. First time we'd spoken in over a year. She was sorry, I said. I know, he said. Are you? I looked at him hard. For walking away? For protecting what I earned? No. Not even a little. He nodded slowly, like he understood, even if he didn't agree. Then I walked away. That was 2 years ago. I still live abroad. I still travel. I still don't talk to my dad. Josh gets out next year. I don't know if I'll ever see him again. But every time I step onto a new beach, or try food I can't pronounce, or fall asleep in a hammock with the sun on my face, I think of those tickets, the ones I bought with love. The ones they threw away. And I smile. Because they thought they were teaching me about family. But in the end, I taught myself how to be free.